Hello, welcome to a new video here on the Trade Site YouTube channel or to the podcast. And today I have a video that I wanted to make for a long time, but it took a lot of time to prepare and to read up and to just get into the right state to make it. And I want to talk about the death of the ego. What does it mean to trade without the ego? We always hear in trading, leave the ego at the door. What does it mean? And I want to share a little bit about my personal journey on how I got to this place where I obsessively started to work on my own ego and try to understand what does it actually mean to be influenced by the ego. Because when I was starting out on this path, I didn't know what does it mean actually to have an ego and how does it manifest. And the deeper I got into this, the more I was really shocked and amazed on how this ego concept is actually influencing our lives, often or mostly maybe even in a negative way that is not constructive, and it's not helping us to live an authentic, happy, fulfilled life. And this is something that I came to realize a few months ago only. And I started doing this self-help, or I went down the self-help route when I was 18 or 17. I started with those books like Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I will try to put always a screenshot of the books that I refer to here, so that you can just pick them up or just look them up. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Then I obviously went to the classic ones like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie, and all of those classics. I read them all, and it has been 15 years that I've been doing this self-improvement work. But the biggest change in myself, in my mind, and how I view the world and myself and how I understand myself, which is probably the most important thing, only came in the last 18 months. Moritz pointed out the book from Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul, and this completely changed everything for me. First, I was the first time I read it, first of all, I was confused and I was a little bit upset, and because Michael Singer talks a lot about the voice in your head, and I wasn't even aware of the voice in my head to that degree before that. And once Michael Singer pointed it out that there's a voice in your head that is talking and influencing you, and it's not you, which sounds crazy, but Michael Singer says, obviously, and once you get down that rabbit hole, you understand that this is true to some degree. It's very hard to grasp, but you can feel the truth more and more that the voice in your head, it's not you, because you are the one listening to it. So you are rather the observer that is watching the voice talking. And the voice is just never shutting up, as you probably know. If you have done any or introspective work, you will know that there's this constant voice in your head that is always trying to get you into things that don't serve the long-term goal or don't serve your long-term goal. It's always into just getting into those short-term gratification fixes. It's not about, it doesn't care about long-term happiness. It doesn't care about where you want to be in 10, 20, 30 years. It just wants the cheeseburger now. It wants to play Fortnite all night. It just is there to, for the most part, I would say, to get to the short-term gratification. And I realized, and I started watching myself, and I understood that this is true, that the voice in your head is not often constructive, and it's often negative even, and there can be a lot of anxiety depending on where you are. And this made me a little bit upset, because Michael Singer was pointing it out, but I didn't get his clues on how to fix it. Now looking back 18 months ago, my view has completely changed, and if you are getting there, or if you are on a certain path, maybe this video may help you to get to this realization quicker, because it was really frustrating for me for the past 18 months, that I was aware, I was becoming aware of the voice, which is the first step, but I wasn't really aware of what should I do with it and how can I improve this. And then I read the books like Anthony DeMello, Awareness, which I think is one of the greatest books ever written. It completely changed my way of viewing myself and the world, and how I engage with the world. And Anthony DeMello always stresses, obviously the title of the book is called Awareness, so you can estimate that this book is a lot about paying attention and awareness. And obviously it's very obvious that you need to pay attention, you need to be aware, you need to live in the present, but it goes much deeper. And at the end, it ties back to the ego as well, because you need to understand how you interact with the world. Why do you do certain things, and how does it make you feel? And unfortunately, we are very selfish. Obviously, the word ego, it comes from egoism or egotistic, and it's always about us, me, and that is how we engage with the world. And obviously, it does make sense because you are the closest person to yourself. You are probably the most important person to yourself. If you're not there anymore, then obviously that's it for the ego as well. So it makes sense for the ego to protect you and to make you feel superior. But it often comes to the disadvantage or to the detriment of other things. And very often we don't engage with people or with our trading in a way that is the best for us for the long term. And the ego is often, or what the ego is doing is trying to estimate how we fit into the world when we engage with other people. It tries to estimate, are we better than them? Are we worse than them? And what is it that is unique about us? What are we better at? And this is then when the ego tries, or when the ego is getting you into identifying who you are with specific things. So for example, some people identify with being very smart. Some people identify with looking very healthy and being fit and being buff and going to the gym. Other people identify with being rich or just looking rich. Some people identify with having a lot of followers or status or whatever it may be. And obviously, I'm not free of that. I'm not any better, and I'm also just a student on that journey. And if you've been following me on my social media, you know, you've maybe seen this video, which looking back, I can now say that this is just my ego was getting me into the situation where I was wearing my Gucci sweater. You can see it here. And this was absolutely the ego. It was trying to just find ways how I can feel better about myself, something that makes me feel good, wearing expensive clothing and just feeling good about myself. Looking back, obviously, this is the ego talking. And thus, I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else. That would be, again, the ego talking. I just want to share my experiences here and maybe help you on your journey as well, or just assist you, point you in the right direction. And I started this awareness work after reading multiple times the book from Anthony DeMello, paying attention to how you feel when you interact with people. And this is also very important in trading, which I will come back to, hopefully, if I don't forget it. But there are certain, when you engage with people, there are ways how you talk to people, because you want other people to see you in a certain way, or you want people to just look at you in a certain way and admire you for certain things, maybe for your hair, maybe for your nice skin, maybe for your clothing, maybe for your watch, maybe for whatever. And it's always the ego talking. It's not actually you. There's always an expectation. There's always an end goal in mind that the ego has. It always wants to make you feel good. So that is a realization that I had, that how I engage with the world, it's often driven by ego. How you post on social media, that's your ego, because you post things that make you feel good, obviously. You want to gather likes. You want people to look at you and admire you for whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you're in a holiday, and in the end, you're not in the holiday to enjoy yourself, but it is to post new pictures on your social media, because then that makes you feel much, much better than actually spending time with your spouse. And this is something that I realized, this is not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life for short-term gratification, for pleasing others, for just indulging in this ego stuff. And obviously this is a never-ending journey. And I asked myself, what does it actually mean when there's no ego around? And I don't know for sure, because I'm not there yet, but I think I'm getting closer. And what I realized is that you care less and less when there's no more ego involved, or where there's less ego involved. You don't care about what other people say or think, or even may think, because I heard this quote in one of the Impact Theory podcasts, I think. One of those guys said that it is not about what other people say about you. It's not even what other people think about you. It's about what you think that other people may think. And this is how we live our lives, which is absolutely bonkers. But it's the way it is, and it is true. So living with less ego means just caring less about what other people think. And this is the beautiful thing, because then you can get into a place of living your full, authentic life. There are people that we admire, obviously, in this world who just seem to be themselves, who just don't seem to care about how they look, what they say, what they do. It's not necessarily the people who are successful or rich, because that's often the ego just displaying a persona. But there are people in your life, in your daily life, or you have probably encountered them every now and then. Probably not very often, because this is very rare to get away from the ego. that just don't care. They just say what they think without trying to impress someone, and that is what I find very impressive, and that is really admiring and admirable. And I think the more I work on the ego thing, the more I realize that it is not caring, and you're not posting on social media that much anymore. You don't expect you don't expect that people look at you in a specific way. You just live life the way you want it without expecting any reactions from other people. And this is also obviously very helpful in trading. Leave the ego at the door. We all have heard this phrase in trading. And when the ego gets involved in trading, it means that often people prefer to be right over making money, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it, but it is the truth. People want to be right. They don't care about making money in the long term. You post a trade on social media, suddenly your ego gets involved. You don't want to be proven wrong. You don't want to look like you picked the wrong trade. Even though in trading, if you're a good trader, you maybe have a win rate of around 50, 55, 60% if you're really good. Obviously, half of your trades will be losses, but when you do this on social media and when you tell other people about your trades, maybe you are invested in Bitcoin and you told your family and your friends, you don't want to look like you are losing money and you made a wrong bet. So you're trying to defend it. You're trying to look or be right. And even if it's at the expense of losing money, I know many people that lost money in various investments, in stocks, cryptos, Forex, because they just couldn't get out of the trade because they were so committed. And once you don't care anymore about what other people may think, then you can approach everything very differently. I re-listened to an old Tim Ferriss podcast where he talked to Josh Waitzkin about many things, and they were getting into foiling, I think it's called, or Josh Waitzkin is at least into it, and he perfectly described it. He said that he was practicing foiling every day for hours and hours and hours at a very popular beach where there are a lot of surfers. And Josh Waitzkin is not on social media, so he doesn't have to post every day to just entertain his followers. And this means that while he was practicing and learning foiling, he could approach it as a complete beginner. He didn't have to worry about how he would look, if he would look stupid doing certain techniques, if he would always fall. It doesn't matter. Whereas the other guys on the beach, many Instagram guys, they always had to come up with cool stories to look good. So they couldn't really fully practice the beginner stuff because that's not what people want to see on social media. It's not impressive. So the social media guys, they had to sacrifice. They had to make a sacrifice. They had to make a sacrifice of learning the right way because they have to look good on social media. Whereas Josh Waitzkin said that he looked like a complete idiot in the beginning because he was always doing those weird techniques that only absolute beginners do. He was failing and falling. But over the long term, he was getting ahead probably much, much faster because he was approaching it the right way. He didn't worry about looking good. He just worried, worried, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but he just focused on doing the right things that really mattered at that point. And you can see it every day in your daily life. I just, because I keep thinking about this concept, yesterday I was at the gym, and I thought about this in this context. There are many guys in the gym, and it's mostly guys that sacrifice health over looking good. If you take anabolics or whatever it's called, steroids, they're usually not good for your health, obviously, but they get you to a place where you look good quicker. So again, that's the ego. It wants you to feel or to look good rather than to feel good. So you're sacrificing short-term or long-term happiness and health for short-term looking buff and looking good. And that's one thing of the ego as well. It's often when you make short-term decisions that are not aligned with your long-term vision that it's often an ego thing as well. So watch out for that if you're doing that. This can get you into a lot of trouble, and it can keep you from making long-term progress, which is what it's all about as a trader as well. And the problem then is that if you identify as a guy who looks good because you go to the gym, or if you identify with someone who has nice skin or beautiful hair, or whatever it may be, you identify with that thing. You are suddenly the person that has nice hair or that looks good. And then the problem starts, or the big problem starts, because then your identity is this thing. Your ego wants to protect this, because if this is gone, if you're not buff anymore, what do you have left? Not much for most people. if your hair is not beautiful anymore, or your skin is not beautiful, or you don't look good, or you don't have your followers, and you don't have the money, then obviously your ego is in very, very big trouble, because there's nothing that separates you, there's nothing that makes you look better or be better than other people. And then it becomes very scary, and that is often what can create anxiety, because you need to cling to that thing, you need to hold on to that, you need to grasp it, you cannot let go of it, because if it goes, then your identity is lost, and then you are just, who are you? You are probably no one, and that is very, very scary, obviously, when you're not aware of it, when you're just running on autopilot. So trying to come back to awareness is the main practice, I think. You can talk and read about the ego all day long, but as long as you're not aware or practicing awareness, I think it's very hard to get to that place. Awareness is a daily practice. It's not easy in the beginning, because we're not trained to do that. And if you have been living a life for decades where you are not trained in paying attention or being aware, it's very hard to get there. It's possible, but it does take time. So don't be hard on yourself. And what I would recommend is just start paying attention to why you do certain things, and how does it make you feel, and how do you interact with people. And there are certain people who are really good at pushing your buttons, and it's not them that are pushing your buttons and make you feel upset. It's you. It's always you that reacts to what people think about you, say about you, because maybe it's not aligned with where you think you are, or where you think your ego think that you are. So pay attention to why you post on social media has helped me a lot. As a result of that, I completely scraped my personal Facebook profile, which is maybe a little bit too extreme, but it got me to a place where it helped me to be more aware of how I engage with the world. Be aware of why you buy certain things, why you purchase luxury items or clothing, for that matter. This is something that I struggled with. Obviously, I had the nice Gucci, the Gucci sweater, I had the Louis Vuitton shoes and whatever. I got rid of everything because I understood that this is not, those things, they don't look too great, to be honest, and it's just the ego thing that you get them, and it makes you feel good, because not everybody can afford a €1,000 sweater, not everybody can afford €1,000 shoes, but it doesn't make you a better person, obviously. It has nothing to do with who you are in the end, or it shouldn't be, at least. And so pay attention. That's the main part. And one thing that I did also is, I was guilty of that, and that's why I can make this video. I think I'm not speaking from a point of perfectionism, obviously, but I'm on my own path, and I can feel that I'm now way ahead than I was 12 or 18 months ago. But probably in 18 months, looking back, I can probably say that I probably know nothing. But this is already, it's a big progress, and I feel much happier, much calmer, much more authentic, and much more just at peace with myself and with the world. I'm not living anymore to impress people. I'm not doing things to portray a certain thing. Just this video was a good example. I started making this video. It is now 7 a.m. roughly, and obviously I don't look super awake. My eye bags are there. It's not a perfect setting, but again, I asked myself, this would be the ego again, trying to portray a certain persona on the camera. It's not the best camera setting, obviously. It's just recorded on my phone in my apartment. But changing, or would I have approached it differently and trying to make it look better? It probably would have been my ego again getting involved, because I want to look in a certain, I want people to think about me in a certain way, and I try to get away from that. So again, bringing it home, wrapping it up, because it's getting a bit long of a video. Again, paying attention to everything. Less input is what I've been doing for the last few weeks, which means just less TV, less podcasts, less social media, less consumption of content, and paying more attention to your thoughts and how you interact with the world. This has made a huge difference for me. I was always that person that I couldn't go out if I didn't have a podcast in my ear, because I always tried to distract myself. But actually paying attention to how or what you think and how you think, and those repetitive thought patterns, when they come up, why they come up, this is making a big difference. And it helps in your trading as well, when you realize, or when you're actually paying attention to why are you doing certain things, why are you getting in the trade that you shouldn't be in, why are you taking a position that is way, way, way too big, and why are you posting this winning trade on social media, whereas you haven't posted anything else for a long time. So paying attention, paying awareness, just being more present is such a bad word because it has been so abused over the past few years in the self-help industry, but it is the truth. Just be present, and when you talk to somebody, talk to them. Don't just wait until it's your turn to talk. Don't look at your phone. When you are with your family, put your phone away. When you're working, put your phone away. Just focus on work. When you want to listen to music, just listen to music. Don't do anything else. Do one thing at a time. That has helped me a lot, significantly, to just reduce the mental clutter and the chatter in your brain or in your mind. And I hope this video somehow made sense. I don't even know if it does, but I think if you listen to it closely and you are at your journey while you are getting maybe interested in this path as well, maybe it does make a little bit of a sense. So again, the books that I really would recommend is Michael Singer, Untethered Soul, really, really amazing. Anthony DeMello, Awareness. There are two other ones, which I'm blanking from Anthony DeMello, which are great. Obviously, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, New Earth. Those have been mind or life-changing books for me. It's a strange path to get into, because not many people, you will not be able to exchange ideas and this concept with many people, because they are just not interested, or they're just not there yet, and then it's very hard for other people to relate. But if you relate, leave a comment under this video. I would really be interested to hear if this made any sense whatsoever, and if you enjoyed this video. So let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I know this is a strange video for a trading channel, but I think it will make a big difference if you're open to it. Until then, happy trading, stay safe, and yeah, until the next time.